Hello there and welcome back to Darshan Dev. I'm Darshan and in this video, the HTML2 tutorial of our HTML series, we are going to study how we can add forms and inputs to our HTML web page. In the last video, we studied how to give paragraphs and text into our HTML web page, give headings and also insert images, and also how to make ordered lists and unordered lists. And the next thing that we are going to see is forms. So in our day 2, which starts over here, we are going to create a form tag, and our form tag has an action attribute which gives the form the URL where it's going to submit, but you don't need to worry about that right now. And also it has a method attribute which is either get or post. It's like when you get data from the server, your method is get, and when you post data to the server, your method is post. But you don't need to worry about that if you don't get it right now. Right now it's important that you focus on what's going on over here. So we have a form open tag, close tag. So this is the form tag, and now we have input in there. So input can be anything. It can be a color, a checkbox, date time, date, email, date time local, or input can be image, number, password, anything. It has a lot of inputs. So if we do input, like if we do something interesting, input email. So input is it's not a container tag, okay? So input opens over here, closes over here. We don't need this ID. I'll explain later what ID is. Neither this name, we don't need that. We just need a type. So input type email means that we'll have a input box where we can put an email. So save that page, refresh, and you get a box where you put an email. So if you type something, see, if you type something and press enter, it gives you an alert that it should include an @ sign in the email address. So if we do this at something.com, enter, it submits the email, but it doesn't know where. So it gives you here a question mark. This is how we create inputs. Let's create another input, and this input is text input. So this can be any text, and let's create something interesting. We'll create a color input. Remove this name and ID, it's not necessary right now. We save it and refresh it over here, and we see how it goes. This is our email input, which is the first one. When we hover over it, it says please include an @ in the email address. So this is our email input, and this is our text input. It doesn't say anything. We can just type text into it, numbers and anything else into it. And this is our color input. It gives you a color palette where you can select any color that you want. It has all the possible colors, so it's quite cool. And HTML has this inbuilt inputs that's really like amazing. You don't need to go anywhere else. And one more interesting input, password. So as you might have seen, when you type a password on a website, it gets converted to dots. You can't see anything, just like this. So this is a password input. And now we'll see another type of input. Let's see a date time input. So when we have a date time input, we save it, refresh it over here. Not here, just a second. I think we need datetime local, datetime dash local. We save it, refresh. So when we do datetime dash local, it gives us a beautiful JavaScript date and time picker. So if I want to select 18th of July at 10 PM, I can do it this way. 10 is 22, and I'll do 0. So it's 18th of July 2020 at 22 00, that is 10 p.m. and then we can submit things. But to submit things we need a button. We can do input submit, I think. Yes, input type submit, and value is the value that's going to look on your button. So if you want your button to say hey, you can just refresh in here and see this is the button that says hey. So if you click on this button, it will send the data to some URL that you specify in the forms attribute, that is action. So if you want the form to be submitted to google.com, then the form will be submitted to google.com. But the form google.com does not take this form. Okay, so when you submit a form somewhere, you should have a backend which processes the data. You should have something like Django, or you should have something like Node.js, or Laravel, which is in PHP, something on the back side to take the form data and do something with it. So right now, since our data has nowhere to go, when we submit anything over here, it goes to nowhere. It just rotates around the same thing, like just this page. So until we have a backend ready to get some data and do something with it, we'll just keep it here. So now we'll see how to label our inputs, because it's just not going to be like email, text, color, password. We won't know which one is which one, just there's no labels. So there's a label tag for we will say this input, this label is for the input of email. So I will give my email an ID is for identification. I'll give my email input an ID of my email, and then I'll put here my email in the form for tag. So this label is for my email, which is the ID of this input. So this label will be given to this input. Okay, so these should match. So the label that we give it is email, or I'll give it my email. We save it and we see how it looks over here. So this is how it looks. My email, it's a small space and then this input. We do the same thing for all of them. We'll just make a label tag. So label for my text, and I'll give my input type text an ID of my text, and in a similar manner I will have a label for color, or I'll say my color, but you have got the point by now, right? So I don't have to use it, but still my color, and I'll say my color, and here it will be my text. And to make it more legible, we'll just divide it into 3 parts and remove the rest of the inputs. They were just for demonstration. We save it. So when we take a look at our code, we have a label for my email, which is the ID of input. So my email. Okay, so this is the label over here, and label is a container tag. Remember that input is not a container tag. It has type and ID, but it closes over here. But label, it's the opening tag. Okay, it just moved things. So this is the opening tag of label, this is the closing tag of label, and this is our label, that's my email. And that's the thing that we have done here, is the same thing. My text, my color. We save it and we see how it looks. Now it looks much better, but let's just get them on different lines. Like, we don't want them to be this way, because we don't know if this box belongs to my text or my email. So I want them on different lines. Let's do one thing. I'll make paragraphs for them. I'll put both of these in a p tag, and also I'll do the same with the other two. Do it this way, save it. So now make a p tag and cut your input and label with a Control X or Command X and save. Do the same over here, and after this we expect them to be on different lines. We save it and we refresh it. So this is the way it goes and it looks beautiful. Now my email, my text, my color. Now when I submit it, okay, I should remove the method get. We'll talk about the methods and actions once we get to the back end, but this is just the front end HTML stuff, so learn what you need to learn. The front end stuff does not mess with action and method right now. So right now we have a form which has inputs and labels. We save it, refresh it, and when I submit hey, or when I type something and give a color and say hey, it shows you an example like that. So we know that it's somewhat working, just we don't have a backend. Don't worry about it, the rest of it will work. When you submit hey, this form will empty itself. So now we have an empty form, and this is set to black, so black is the default. So this is how we create our forms in HTML. So see you in the next video. In the third video of HTML, we'll learn many more new things like putting video and audio into our HTML web pages. You'll enjoy it, okay? So if you like this series, hit a thumbs up and also subscribe and hit the bell button to stay tuned with my channel for new programming videos every single day. So bye bye.